ॐ वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace. Peace, peace. Let us feel our divine essence and let us connect to it. For now, let us disconnect ourselves from all temporal identities like body, mind, intellect, and so forth. That is to say, let us assert this truth that I am not the body, I am not the intellect, I am not the feelings, emotions. I am the consciousness itself. I am all pervading. I am self-luminous and ever blissful. Let us feel this truth. About our true nature. And let us feel that this all-pervading, blissful, luminous, infinite reality is condensed in the blissful form of Sri Ramakrishna. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So friends, let us begin with the chant, our usual chant. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grananti Te Bhurida Jana. Sri Ramakrishna and Mathur, Mathuranath Vishwas, practically the owner of the temple of Dakshineshwar, where Sri Ramakrishna was a mere employed worshipper, a priest. So the status of the two was very different from the worldly standpoint. Mathur Babu had tremendous power and wealth, education too, compared to Sri Ramakrishna. And whereas Sri Ramakrishna was practically nobody. And so it is just astonishing to find how Mathur got so tremendously attracted to Sri Ramakrishna and got benefited from that. Not only that, he continued to serve Sri Ramakrishna, fulfilling all his needs. And here Sri Ramakrishna is describing that Mathur is one of the big examples. But in general, those were the days when Sri Ramakrishna's spiritually charged personality would be able to change the awareness of any person who would, with that mindset, visit Sri Ramakrishna. So he gave the example of two people regarding his sadhana, and I am quoting from page 489. Recalling his condition during his sadhana, the master told us, At that time, uh, anyone who come here would quickly be spiritually awakened when they associated with this place. This place means he used to indicate his own body. If they would associate this place, he wouldn't be able to say I. It is interesting, how we have big I. The capital I is very special, and therefore it is written as capital, the uppercase I, because for all of us, that is the special being around which the world and our universe is moving about. Therefore, everybody has a different universe, a universe that whirls around this I. I am so and so. These are my things. These are my qualities. These are my people, my relatives. Here is the place where I grew up. This is my education. I spent my this primary schooling in that school. All that nostalgic feelings. That is a world around this I. And naturally, if say Vishwanath and Tommy started discussing about them, it will be two different worlds having some intersections. But otherwise, our universes are so different, and we are concerned about our universe. Sri Ramakrishna could not have that kind of eye because of the illumination. With the knowledge, what happens is this identification of I with a particular body or mind goes away. It is not possible for that awakened person to associate oneself with a particular body or particular mind. It is all bodies, everything is just the same one reality, and so the all I is same. That is what the Upanishads describe, that yadatma tattve natu brahma tattvam. When by mentioning I, you don't think of a particular piece of flesh and blood, but of the all-pervading reality. That is the sign of knowledge of the truth, and therefore it is seen that Sri Ramakrishna would indicate not as I but this place, so showing his body. So showing that here, when people would associate with this, then their spirituality would get awakened very fast. Two young men used to come from Baranagar, which is just the opposite side of Belur Mutt. The same bank, it is very close to Dakshineshwar, on the same side of the Ganges, Baranagar, and then Dakshineshwar, about a mile distance or around that same or less, depending on which particular part of Baranagar you are associating with, but very close. So it is two young men used to come from Baranagar. They belonged to a lower caste, either Kaivarta or Tamli. They were good and had love for and faith in me. They came quite often. One day I was seated with them in the Panchavati, and one of them had a spiritual experience. I saw his chest turn crimson, his eyes became deep red, and tears trickled down his cheeks continually. He could neither talk nor stand. It was as if he had drunk 2 bottles of wine. There was no sign that his ecstasy would come to an end. Frightened, I said to the mother, "What have you done to him, mother? People will say that I have cast a spell on him. His parents are at home and he must return there now." I passed my hand over his chest and continued to pray to the mother. After a while, he somehow calmed down and returned home. Master told that Mathur had similar spiritual experiences because he was in contact with his tangible spiritual life. These experiences increased Mathur's love and devotion 1,000-fold. And that is what happens with experience. When you experience it, then the tangibility of it increases. Means its sense of being real increases. When we read in book, we form an idea, but then it doesn't stick to us as actual, real. Oh, maybe, may not be. Oh, when I think it must be. But then in our day-to-day experience, we do not see that it is the reality. Like if I say to Vishwanath that, "Sharon, is it there?" He said, "Well, what do you mean? I live there. I have lived there for decades now. And why are you asking? It is." But same cannot be said with that certainty about all the spiritual things about which he has very good concept. But till one has that experience, there is still some doubt about it. So experience of reality brings a conviction that cannot be shaken by anything. That is the special feature of experience. So Mathur's experience is like that. It is, let me tell you an incident in my high school days. So it was considered bad for these high school students to smoke. In school they wouldn't smoke, but then when on street, one of our teachers saw a student smoking. As soon as he saw the teacher, he immediately put that cigarette down. But the teacher had seen. Now what can be done? The teacher then, when he did something else wrong in the class, then teacher said, "Well, whatever you may now say, I have seen you smoking. You hurriedly put it down, but I saw. Now what can you do about it?" You say, "I have seen it." So it is, what I mean is, now the arguments cannot wipe it out. Once you have an experience, then give 1,000 arguments. That will not be able to wipe it out. So That is what happened with the devotees who came to Sri Ramakrishna and then had some special experience. And so now we will see some experience that Mathur had with Sri Ramakrishna. And that is what last time we were talking about. The Master told us that Mathur had similar spiritual experiences because he was in contact with his tangible spiritual life. These experiences increased Mathur's love and devotion a thousandfold. One day, the Master was pacing back and forth on the northeastern veranda of his room, which extended east to west. He was in a spiritual mood, completely oblivious of his surroundings. Mathur was then seated alone in a room in his bungalow, which was situated between the temple complex and the Panchavati. There is a nice picture given here. I don't think you can, but if you have a copy of the book, you will be able to see. Some of you might have, I am sure some of you did go to Dakshineshwar and they know this place where even now you can see this veranda with all these beautiful pillars, this lobby in which Sri Ramakrishna sometimes would just keep pacing, maybe just to get some exercise to his limbs or whatever. So he was pacing there. And Mathur Babu was there in the other house adjacent to it. It is called Kuti, isn't it, Abhijit? Kuti. So Kuti means there the owners used to live when they would come to Dakshineshwar. So from his room he was watching Master Sri Ramakrishna pacing up and down in that lobby. And then it was not far from Mathur's room to the veranda where the Master was pacing, so Mathur could see him through a window. Sometimes he thought of the Master as he watched him walking in what was obviously an indrawn mood. And again he thought about various worldly affairs and made plans for his own future. The Master was not at all aware that Mathur was watching him from time to time as he sat in his parlour. But what would it have mattered if he had been aware of it? The disparity between their social, domestic, and other conditions was so great that there was no need for them to be concerned about one another. That he is one of our servants, priests, and then the priest, that is the owner, so he is sitting there, let him. So it is not that like some friend I see, hey, where had you been, and so forth. I am so glad to see you, etc. But if a person is very highly rich, elevated, in a different position, and I have nothing much to go and talk to him, so I wouldn't really budge from my place to specially greet that person. So therefore Master was pacing up and down in that veranda while Mathur was there watching. Sri Ramakrishna was not at all aware that Mathur was watching. If the Master had not been preoccupied with and absorbed in a divine mood, it would have been reasonable for him to feel slightly discomfited and to move away from that place when he knew that Mathur would see him. And naturally, that would have happened watching, boss is watching, let me go somewhere else. That would have been the attitude. But he was not aware that anybody is watching. Mathur was a wealthy, respected, learned, and intelligent aristocrat and could be regarded as the sole proprietor of the Kali temple and the Rani's estate. And it was because the master had won the favor of Mathur that he was not thrown out of the temple. We know by this time that Master Sri Ramakrishna was behaving from the worldly point of view like an insane person. Couldn't have been allowed to be there because of his behavior. He was for the understanding of the temple authorities, he was somehow, because the owners have taken fancy for him, he is continuing there. Otherwise nobody would have let this fellow, this insane fellow, continue with the worship and staying here. Impossible. So it was just, everybody thought that this rich wealthy owner, rich people have their own whims, whatever it may be, so he has taken fancy, we don't have to bother about it, whatever may happen. So it is. The master was an ordinary, insignificant, poor Brahmin priest whom people considered to be stupid, mad, and unconventional. That word unconventional is only very mild. Actually they thought much more about that, but it is. They even ridiculed him in his perspective. In this perspective, the master should have been a little timid and humble in front of Mathur. But an unprecedented and inconceivable event happened while this was going on. All of a sudden, Mathur hurriedly ran out of his bungalow, threw himself down at Sri Ramakrishna's feet, and began to cry profusely. The master later narrated, I asked Mathur, what are you doing? You are an aristocrat and Rani Rasmani's son-in-law. What will people say if they see you behaving like this? Calm yourself. Please get up. But who would listen to this? Gradually Mathur got control of himself and described his wonderful vision. He said, Father, I was watching you just now as you walked back and forth. I saw it distinctly. As you walked towards me, you were no longer yourself. You were the divine Mother Kali from the temple. Then as you turned around and walked in the opposite direction, you became Lord Shiva. At first, I thought it was some kind of optical illusion. I rubbed my eyes and looked again, but I saw the same thing. As often as I looked, I saw it. He said this again and again, crying. I said, but I know nothing about this. He ignored me. I became very nervous. I thought that if someone reported this to Rani Rasmani, she might misunderstand and think that I had put a spell on Mathur. I consoled him in various ways and finally calmed him down. Was it for nothing that Mathur served me and loved me so much? The Divine Mother granted him various visions and experiences on many occasions. It was written in Mathur's horoscope that his Ishta, the chosen deity, a chosen deity is an important concept that we need to have some understanding of. What is a chosen deity? See, the all pervading God. Now we cannot form any concept of it. It is because our brain, it can only have a visualization of form, or even the mental picture that we can think of can only be that of the form. So formless, infinite, all pervading. While we use these words, uh, we do not have any real idea of it. We can think of form, that's it. That is how our brain is limited. So that very all pervading Brahman or God takes all different forms, and many forms are then considered worthy of worship, because those forms they represented the divine presence to great sages. And so you have, for example, form of Vishnu, form of Shiva, or the form of various incarnations of God. And all these forms are very good, and people adore all of them or many of them. But this many cannot become really an object of prayer and concentration. I have to have some specific, very strong connection with one of them, and then I can respect all other expressions of the divine. I can certainly worship the others, but one is special for me. That is called my chosen ideal or Ishta. So Sri Ramakrishna used to give example. Now it is of the olden days. These days such things are not much seen, but the principle is there. Like a lady, she gets married. When she is married now, then she loves her in-laws, serves them. She is my mother-in-law, he is my father-in-law, this is my brother-in-law, this is my sister-in-law. All this law goes on, but while she is connected to all of these, she has a very special connection with husband. So through husband, because of her connection with husband, she is connected to all of them. It is independently she has no connection with this man as father-in-law. It is because she is married to this man, that man's father becomes her father-in-law. So and she respects all of them, but she has a special connection with this man husband, through whom all others are connected. So each person has this kind of a chosen ideal, connecting to which that person feels the divinity, and then through that, that person can get connected to all other divinities and love those as well. All different divine images and concepts, ways of worship, all are respected, but there is one special, and that is an important concept, because that is how one can concentrate in spiritual practice. Because concentration means what? One, things have to be, all thoughts have to be brought into one. If it is scattered, then the concentration, anyway, how much concentration many of us have. Now, if it is divided between 100 things, then you will lose focus, you will not be able to get any tangible progress. It is like one step towards east, another step towards west, another to north, another to south. How can you go anywhere? So you have to choose one direction, one road to go by. And then as you follow, do not disrespect other roads. They are also fine. You respect those, you love those, but follow your path. So that is called the your devotion or loyalty to the chosen ideal. That your chosen ideal has to be held firmly. And then other forms of worship or other forms of the divine, they also are respected, they also are loved and adored, revered. But your chosen ideal is a special one. So this concept is very important. It is, if it is not remembered, then there is, the spiritual life really doesn't advance much. That is why there is this idea that the Guru gives you your chosen ideal. And thus, it is not chosen, does not mean that I can choose. Not that, okay, Abhijit would say that I will choose this. But then it is, your choice is not the proper choice. It doesn't become your chosen ideal by your choosing it. Your Guru gives it to you. Just as you cannot just choose the medicine, the doctor has to prescribe it. No, I think this looks nice. Not a question of looking nice. It is which one becomes useful for your condition. What will be the cure for you, that an expert decides and then gives you that medication. Exactly like that, the Guru gives the Ishta. Sri Ramakrishna, Ishta means the chosen ideal. This Sri Ramakrishna says that in fact, once the Guru shows that this is your chosen ideal, then the Guru merges with that. The separate existence of Guru is then not felt, because Guru and the chosen ideal, they have become one. So this is the idea of chosen ideal. So was it for nothing that Mathur served me and loved me so much? the Divine Mother granted him various visions and experiences on many occasions. It was written in Mathur's horoscope that his Ishta, chosen deity, would always be gracious to him, nay, would even accompany him wherever he went and assume a human form to protect him. So, naturally, he saw in Sri Ramakrishna that it is his chosen ideal, who has now God has appeared in this human form to be with him, to protect him, and so forth. So that is how this incident is so important. This event firmly established Mathur's faith. This was the first time he truly realized that Master was no ordinary human being, even though he had been attracted to the Master from their first meeting and had glimpses of the truth behind the Master's extraordinary conduct. Even though some people criticized the Master without understanding him, all this had happened that had increased Mathur's faith and so forth. But this incident kind of put a seal over it, that Sri Ramakrishna is the chosen ideal. Sri Ramakrishna is Mother Kali and Shiva put in one. That is how Mathur actually saw it. So, the Master's intimacy with Mathur increased significantly from then on. With this vision, naturally now, Mathur sees Sri Ramakrishna. Whenever he sees Sri Ramakrishna, it is the Kali or the Shiva. He had many other visions also of Sri Ramakrishna, embodying all different ways of worship in him. So it was that was the reason that he was all surrender to Sri Ramakrishna. He surrendered his all to Sri Ramakrishna. Whatever money and other such things are needed to serve Sri Ramakrishna, he unhesitatingly arranged for all that. So, and this was the reason that he saw in Sri Ramakrishna all this. Great fortune had truly dawned in Mathur's life. The scriptures say that a person must experience both good and bad karma as long as the body remains. This holds true not only for the ordinary human beings but also for liberated souls. Ordinary people experience the results of what they have done in the past, good and bad. Now who experiences the results of good and bad actions performed by a liberated person? This is a question there. Question. Who experiences the results of the good actions and bad action? A very important question has been raised here. This has been discussed in many scriptures and commentaries on them, that what happens because once a person is liberated, now there is no I, and so no karma, no that actions, fruits or results will not go to that person because there is no I to get it. Whom to go? And our actions are with this awareness, I am doing it. like Paul would think that yes, I today went to Vedanta Society to attend the class after a long time. So this is I who went there. Now therefore the result of that action would come to I. That whosoever is thinking or is believing that I did it. So therefore now he has no escape from it, because he has the awareness I did it, and therefore I get the result. Everybody, we know good actions, bad actions. We say, well, I have worked there for 10 hours and the rate was told to me $50 an hour. So I have worked for 10 hours, and if they tell me, yes, 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 you have worked for 10 hours, but we will give the money to Punita. I said, what is this? I work and then she gets the money for it. No, no, I will fight it out. Yeah, it is, I have done it, I must get it. And that is same with the bad actions, although we won't fight for the result of it. Yet, let that thing go to Punita. I have, but she will not accept that. Hey, I didn't do it, Swami, you did it. So you have to get it, you see. So that is our ego decides, and I cannot refute it. It is even if I say no, this, that, even if I argue, my conscience tells, hey, fellow, you did it. So you will have to have that result, the result of it, good actions, bad actions. Now the question is, from people from whom this I has disappeared, now they also are performing actions, and all actions are good and bad both. There is, even if Sri Ramakrishna is doing some actions, now you may say that, well, he must be doing all good actions. Not from that standpoint, no, because some of his actions may hurt some beings, and so that is from the standpoint of those beings. Now that's not a good action, good thing. It is because our every action is killing so many people. When I walk, so many germs get trampled under my foot. Now those creatures, they would have a grudge on me. This fellow trampled us under his foot. It is like that. It is so. What happens? Sri Ramakrishna showed that. What is a nice example? One devotee, Balram Basu, he was from that Vaishnava, means that those who are worshippers of Vishnu, from that background, and they have some strict rules about killing. You should not kill. Now this fellow had lot of bedbugs, and when they grow very fast. Now what is to be done? To kill them or not to kill them? What has to be done? That is the question he had in his mind. Should I kill those bedbugs? I can get some this particular chemical or medicine spray. In my childhood we used to spray that to get rid of bed bugs. I don't know if that particular formula is still available. We used to call it Tick 20. So it is spray, and then they would die. Of course they would again come back, but for that time we used to get rid of them by that. So Balram had this big dilemma. What will that be counted as killing? What should I do? And if I don't kill, well, I can't sleep also, lying down on the bed or even sitting on the cushion. They keep on biting, they keep on sucking the blood. What should be done? So he decided to ask Sri Ramakrishna about it. Now, when he goes there at Dakshineshwar, he didn't have to ask, what should I do? He saw Sri Ramakrishna is killing the bedbugs. So he got the answer that Sri Ramakrishna is killing the bedbugs. Now, that action of Sri Ramakrishna would mean that it is the bedbugs are killed. That is, for them it is a bad action. And so there should be some result of that action. Some bad action is done. So the result has to go to someone. Now Sri Ramakrishna has no ego. He has no ego about killing the bedbugs. No ego of doing meditation or giving some gift to somebody or serving somebody. No good karma, no bad karma, nothing. So where will now this karma go? And then there are a lot of theories about it. It is said here that they tell that there will be those who love that person and there are those who hate that person. Every person will have some who will be hating that fellow, and there will be some who will be loving that fellow. Now what happens? If you hate that person, then all the bad karma of that person's actions will go to you because you hate that person. And if you love that person, then whatever good that person is doing, the result will come to you. So that is how, therefore, since Mathur was loving Sri Ramakrishna, that the scriptures say that a person must experience good and bad karma as long as the body remains. This holds true not only for ordinary human beings but also for liberated souls. So that is how it is explained here, that as long as the bodies of the liberated ones do not fall like dry leaves, they must perform actions both good and bad. In this respect, the scriptures say that the people who serve and love the liberated ones enjoy the result of their good actions, and those who hate them suffer by taking the results of their bad actions. So, there is a footnote about it. According to the reading of the Satyayani recension, this is one, this Shankara's commentary is quoted here. He is a liberated one's sons inherit his properties, friends his virtuous deeds, and enemies his vicious deeds. Similarly, in the text of Kaushitakins, he, an illumined soul, when dead, shakes off both virtues and vices by that power of his self-knowledge. His dear relatives get his virtues and his haters his vices. So that is how Mathur loved Sri Ramakrishna, and so got all the results of the good actions of the master. As the days passed, Mathur witnessed even more manifestations of the master's power as a guru, and his devotion became more established. In the meantime, many events were taking place. The master experienced a terrible burning sensation caused by the pain of his separation from God and was treated for it. Bhairavi Brahmani arrived at Dakshineshwar and established that the master was an avatar by quoting passages from the Vaishnava scriptures to a group of pandits whom Mathur had invited. The great Vedantin Totapuri arrived and initiated the master into sannyasa. The master's aged mother came to Dakshineshwar to live. Many other events occurred during these years when Mathur was staying there. So, they are going to be discussed here because it is a real life in flesh and blood. So all that happens around a person goes on happening there as well. That many changes. The world means changes. Everything is like today it was like that, tomorrow it would be in some other way, it will change. Somebody who was like we see in Vedanta society, the Swamis, they come and go, like Swami Akhilanandji was here, then Sarvagatanandji was here, they came and left, then Yogatmananda came, and then as long as he lasts, so it is. And like that, so many come and go. It is new people come, like Tommy was not coming some years ago. Were you coming 20 years ago, Tommy, here? No, yeah. So he was not coming 20 years ago. So he came, and like that, many come, go. And so events are always happening, things are always in a flux, in a change. So those changes were happening around there in Dakshineshwar as well. That and he has given the list of all those incidents that took place, and then, but Mathur Babu was there, and his vision about Sri Ramakrishna stayed with him. So all these things happened. We have to remember that Mathur has already seen that Sri Ramakrishna as Kali, Divine Mother Kali and Shiva, and has therefore developed tremendous devotion and attraction. So this was how this, after the wonderful vision we have described, Mathur became involved in almost every event in Master's daily life. Very natural. Now Sri Ramakrishna became his chosen deity, chosen ideal, and was therefore constantly attending on Sri Ramakrishna and so forth. Was in tremendous loving devotional connection that it was. So and he would fulfill all the wishes. So Mathur engaged Ganga Prasad Sen and Mahendralal Sarkar, two physicians famous in Calcutta, to care for the master. When the master wished to adore the Divine Mother with anklets like those worn by the women of Western India, Mathur had female confidante of Krishna. According to Vaishnava Tantra, he wanted to wear uh, oh sorry, Mathur had them made immediately. While the master was practicing sadhana as a female confidante of uh, Krishna according to Vaishnava Tantra, he wanted to wear women's clothing. Accordingly, Mathur supplied a set of diamond jewelry, a Varanasi sari, a scarf, and other items. And they are all very pricey items. They on the all top of the shelf, very pricey items he purchased for that. And so, when he learned that the master wanted to attend the Vaishnava festival at Panihati, he not only arranged his trip but also secretly went with his bodyguards to protect the master from the crowd. So, all this was happening. At the center of it was this vision. Many other similar visions that Mathur had. These experiences made him stick to Sri Ramakrishna and serve him. So we shall continue how Mathur's life in touch with Sri Ramakrishna kept on evolving. This chapter is important because Mathur serves here as an example that how they this chapter is about the teachership of Sri Ramakrishna, Guru Bhava. So, one example, a prominent example is being shown that how this man got that teachership of Sri Ramakrishna change his life. So, we can see that it can happen to us too, that it is Sri Ramakrishna is present here, it is if we need just to connect, that's all. It is if we connect, we have it. If we don't, we don't, like there are these electric outlets. There is one outlet there. Now the outlet is there, but if you do not connect your appliance to it, then it will not have any power. But if you connect, well, that will get illumined. So similarly, even now, if we connect ourselves, this appliance, to Sri Ramakrishna, then it will get illumined too. So we shall just meditate on this truth for 30 seconds, and then in case if you have a question, please feel free to ask. Yes, please. Good, no question today. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.